about abstract classes. You remember? What about the abstract classes? Why we need to use these classes?
Syntax is
Sorry, can you repeat? Again?
they have
what we said about the abstract classes. Can we create
So-
instances from this class? Can we create objects from these abstract classes? Very important. Abstract classes, I think, will be with you. So for the abstract class, we said that when we need to summarize many characteristics, many behaviors for different objects, so we can create abstract classes. These abstract classes cannot be instantiated. You cannot create instances from these abstract classes. You cannot create objects. Just you can use these abstract classes as a data type. فقط, okay? So, and because these abstract classes can contain some abstract methods, you remember, we distinguish between abstract methods and concrete methods, abstract classes and concrete classes. Concrete classes where all the implementation are there. ما في شيء ماله implementation. بينما في abstract classes we can have methods, abstract methods. والabstract method قلنا في لها just الheader. You don't need to implement. When you have, for example, get area is different from rectangle, from circle, from triangle, from all these shapes. So just you need to write this get area as abstract method, and after that, this abstract method will be overriding in the sub classes. And we said also each abstract class need to be extended, needs to be this inheritance, because you cannot create instances from this class. So you need to create subclasses, concrete subclasses from this abstract class, and you can create objects from this class. So this is almost the important things about the abstract class. Abstract classes usually define abstract methods that are then overridden in the concrete classes derived from them. It is mandatory to create classes that are inherited from this abstract class. It is possible to declare variables of abstract class type. You can use these abstract classes as data type, but you cannot use these abstract classes for creation of objects. Okay, animal, it's okay. I can have objects called data type of these objects. It is animal, but I cannot create animal. I need to specify which animal: tiger, rabbit, chicken, etc. Okay. So it is impossible to create objects of an abstract class. It is impossible. You cannot create instances. You cannot create objects. Okay, but you can use as data type. You can use this class as data type. I'm sorry, Abdulaziz, you are not with us. You attend with other tutor. So this is what we talked about the abstract classes. No, in the week before the holiday, we start this meeting. So you need to check the recording. Now, after that, we start with another thing that it is called interface. And the abstract class and the interface are similar. Okay, there are some things that are similar between these abstract classes and interfaces. The interface, we said that again here, abstract class can be used as data type, but you cannot create objects from this class. Okay, but we are not creating. Okay, not creating with this abstract. Now we stopped here. I will start again from these interfaces. We see that the interface is like a class. It is not a class, but it is like a class, and especially the abstract classes. Okay, and we already see that the abstract methods, these interfaces will have only abstract methods and constants. Okay, so no instance variables. There is no variables, no radius, for example, no, okay, which will be different from one class, from one object to another. Okay, so there is no instances also because it is not a class. So you cannot create also objects from this interface. It is like the abstract class. Okay. Now, why we said that we can use this interface? We said that we can use this interface to allow the multi-inheritance. Okay, because as a class, I cannot inherit only from one class. So I can inherit, not inheritance, I can implement, we said implement from other methods from other interfaces. اوكي عوض ما يكون عندي اكثر من parent ما في parents، في parent واحده لكل الكلاسز، كل كلاس عنده parent واحده يعني sub super class, but it can have more than 2-3 interfaces. Okay, it is not, because this is not an inheritance, it is just an implementation. Okay, so this is why we can use this interface. Also, we can use interface when we have unrelated classes. There is, for example, if I need to compare two objects, I can compare animal, I can compare fruit, I can compare meals, I can compare human, I can, okay, all of these objects can be comparable, okay, but they are not related. Animals is different from fruits, fruits is different from humans, etc. So although these classes are different, okay, we can use this interface to compare them, for example. Okay, so to have when you have unrelated classes, that you can implement similar methods, similar behaviors like this comparable. Okay, زي المقارنات ممكن تقارنها بين أي شيء مهما كانت الأشياء حتى ما كان بينها علاقة. Okay, so this is when you can use the interface for multi-inheritance and for implementing a behavior that is similar between these unrelated classes. Okay, you can also use this interface as data type. It is the same. You can use this interface as data type, but you cannot use it to create objects. It is like the abstract class. Now, if you need to define the interface, public interface and the interface name. Okay, you have only constants and abstract methods, so you can omit these modifiers. You can omit these modifiers because all the variables are constants. There is no variables. There is only constants, final, static, and public, and there is no concrete class methods. There is only abstract methods. Okay, so this is why we can omit all these modifiers, because all of them will be the same. Even if it is not written, we can understand that this is because all the variables are finals and all of the methods are abstract. Okay. Now, among the very important interface are the comparable interface. Okay, when you need to compare, okay, two objects, so you can implement the comparable. Okay. Now this interface is defined in this Java.language package. Okay, so you need to use this to import this library. Now, what is the implementation of this interface? It is public, okay, interface. This is the name of your interface comparable, and you need here some element, some object to compare, okay? And inside this interface, you have this abstract method, okay? This is an abstract method. It will get an object, okay, and it will return an integer, okay? You can omit this public, okay, because all of them are public or abstract and finals, okay. Now, if we say that here, if I need to compare, this is the results of comparable of compare to, sorry. So this is okay. So this is if I have the geometric object, it is an abstract class. شفتوها كيف italic ميلة قلنا في UML representation الabstract classes الabstract methods كلهم راح تجي italic ميلة. Okay, here it is a concrete class. Rectangle is a subclass from this geometric, and comparable rectangle is a subclass from rectangle. Now, because I cannot use the multi-inheritance, so this is an inheritance, okay, extends. Here you need to use extends, and here you need to use implements. And you can implement more than one interface, 2 interfaces, 3 interfaces. It is allowed, okay, but you need to extend only one class. Extend only one class implements many interfaces, okay, because this is not inheritance. This is like the inheritance. So here in this comparable, this is comparable to, again, comparable to, it is in italic because it is an abstract method, okay. Now, if you need to compare rectangles, so just you need to implement these comparable, and these comparable need to be overriding, okay, need to be overriding in this class. So the comparable, so this is the implementation. We said that comparable rectangles, about comparable rectangles, will extend rectangle. This is the inheritance, and will implement comparable. And what type of object will be compared? اللي هم comparable rectangle, okay? Now, this public comparable rectangle, what is this? دحين جوه الكلاس comparable، صح ولا لا؟ comparable rectangle لما يكون الميثود بنفس اسم الكلاس it is a constructor. This is a constructor, okay? Comparable rectangle is a constructor with 2 arguments. 2 arguments. rectangle لازم تعطيه طول وعرض، الويدث والهيت، okay? Why we use here super? To invoke the constructor of the superclass, okay? This is to invoke the constructor of the superclass, okay? Here, so you use you use the constructor of the superclass with these two variables, okay, with these two values, okay. Now what we said also, when you implement a class, an interface, or when you extend an abstract class, you need to override the abstract methods, okay. So once here you forget, for example, to override compare to, it will show an error because you need to override, okay. قلنا كل ما في abstract method you need to override these abstract methods, okay, unless you will get an error. So here, how you can get, or how you can compare rectangle? The header is the same. It is public and compared to, and you need to give comparable rectangle object to this method. Okay. Now, how you can compare two rectangles? You can compare them by area. Okay, if the area is greater or is lower. Okay, or you can, it can be the same if it is the same area. Okay, so it can be here. If the get area is greater than the object dot get area, okay, so it will return 1. Else, if it is lower, it will return -1. Else, if it is equal, okay, so it will return 0. Okay, clear? Now for the toString, what about toString here? Override toString, because toString, it is a method from the object class. Okay, when we say that the toString in the object class is not informative, is not good. Okay, to use. You need to make this toString with more information. Okay, so here in this, for example, class, you need to print the width, the height. Okay, الطول والعرض. أما إنك تعطيني الريكتانجل at with just reference objects, it's not meaningful. طيب. So you need to return width and get width, height and get height, and you can also get area. Okay, this is يعني it is up to you and up to the question how you need to print the results. Okay, to show the result of your object. Okay, so okay, is it clear, guys? Is it clear for you till now? Okay, so we said that the multi inheritance is not allowed. ما في أحد عنده أكثر من parents. Okay, كلنا عندنا parent واحدة حتى الكلاسز. Okay, so this is why Java avoids multiple inheritance problems by the use of interfaces. So, but when you need to get something from other parents, you can implement as interfaces, okay, and you can use it. Okay, so class can implement more than one interface, but can extend only one class. Okay, you can extend only one class, but you can implement more than one interface. You can implement one interface, two interfaces, 3, etc. So, and this is, we said that this gives the class an alternative to multiple inheritance. يعني كأنها مشابهة للmultiple inheritance. Okay. This is another example about monthly employee. Okay, عامل شهري. This class extends employees in general and implements comparable, serializable, etc. Okay, many interfaces. Okay. So look at this example. خلينا نشوفوا الexercise. Assume that employee and parent are classes. لازم يجيكم question زي كذا ترى في الاختبارات كلها. MTA و TMA. الجزء اللي قبل implementation في short answers اللي هو true or false و explain valid or invalid و explain. Okay. So يعني always there is this type of question. So assume employee and parent are classes. Comparable and serializable are standard Java interfaces. Okay, and the two classes, two interfaces. Are these declarations valid? If not, why not? Valid or invalid? ودائما it is, if it is valid, it's okay. if it is not valid, why it is not valid. Okay, دائما لما يكون invalid you need to justify. But for valid you don't need. Okay. Class monthly employee extends employee parent implements comparable. Is it true, valid, or invalid? Class, you have a class called monthly employee. This is the name of your class. This class will extend employee, will extend parent, and will implement comparable. True or false? Valid or invalid? Why? True extends. This is not allowed the multi-inheritance. There is no multi-inheritance, okay? We can implement more than one interface, but we cannot extend more than one class, okay? So this is invalid because the class cannot inherit more than one superclass. So let's see the class monthly employee extends comparable. Valid or invalid? Why? Comparable is interface, so I cannot use extend. I need to use implement. Okay? Here it is implements, it is not extend. Class monthly employee extends employee implements parent. It is correct. Why? Parent is not an interface, so it is not allowed. Okay? It is not implements, nor parent implements it for an interface. وparent is a class, so you cannot use extends twice. ما نقدر نستخدمها أكثر من one class. وفي نفس الوقت الparent is not a. طيب class monthly employee implements comparable serializable. Valid because both of them are interfaces and multi-inheritance is allowed in interfaces. Okay. Public interface sortable extends comparable. What's this? ايش هي هذه؟ Inheritance ولا؟ This is an inheritance for the interfaces. Okay. So this is an inheritance, and an interface can inherit from another interface. Okay, it is like the abstract classes. Abstract classes can be inherited from a concrete classes. Okay, can be inherited. Okay, this is also the case for the interface. The interfaces, you can have the inheritance for the interfaces. Okay. Now, for the public interface sortable extends parent. Can I have this? Why? Okay, so an interface should extend an interface, not a class. This is the problem. If it is comparable, if it is serializable, whatever, okay, it can be. You can extend an interface, can extend only an interface, not a class. Okay. Now comparable, employee 1 is equal to new comparable. Invalid. Why? We can't create objects from abstract classes nor interfaces. Okay. So we cannot invalid. You need to define a variable like employee 1, okay, of this interface type, but you can use the data type, but you cannot create an object, okay, of an interface type. طيب, you can use this interface, you can use these abstract classes as data type, but you cannot use them to create objects. You need to use these the subclasses, the concrete subclasses. Okay. Clear for you guys? So for sure you will have like this questions. for sure. In every yes, this is not with you, but you will have like يعني this inheritance or relationship. It is an aggregation, it is an inheritance, it is for the constructors. Okay. So if now we need to compare these interfaces versus the abstract classes. So we said that the abstract class, there is no restrictions for the variable. For the constructors are invoked by subclasses through the super constructor. And for the method, there is no restrictions. You can have concrete methods, you can have abstract methods, okay? For the abstract class. But for the interface, all the variables must be final, static, and public. For the constructors, there is no constructors, okay? This interface cannot be instantiated using the new operator. And all these methods need to be abstract, okay? So this is the difference, okay? So in an interface, the data must be constants, and an abstract class can have all types of data. Each method in an interface has only a signature without implementation. An abstract class can have concrete methods, and all classes share a single root, the object class, but there is no single root for the interfaces. Okay, this is another thing for the interfaces. Okay, now this is the differences between the interface and the abstract. So we said that an interface, it is not a class, it is like a class. It is not a class. All its methods are abstract. All constants are okay. All the variables are constants. Okay, no, not allowed any variable instances. An interface can be implemented by any number of unrelated classes, which declare this using the implements keyword, and the class may implement any number of interfaces. Now, for the abstract class, an abstract class uses the keyword abstract in the class header. It normally has at least one method, either defined within the class or inherited from a superclass, and its abstract methods must be explicitly declared abstract. Okay, you need to write abstract. مش زي الانترفيس, we say that because all of them are abstract, so you don't need to write abstract. But in the abstract classes, you need to write abstract method or not, because ممكن تحتوي على abstract وممكن لا. Okay. It can have instances variables, and like the interface, it can only contain its own concrete subclasses by requiring them to implement its abstract methods. And all these classes share a root, a single root, which is the object class, but there is no single root for the interfaces. Okay, again and again. كل هذا ترى شفناه. جالسين نعيد فيه عشان تثبت المعلومة. Okay. Similarities, both of them can have an object of other classes, so both can have abstract methods. They cannot create objects from this interface or from this abstract class, but you can use an interface data type or an abstract class data type. You can create reference variables of either type, and these are normally used to refer to an object of a subclass of the abstract type or of an object of a class that implements the interface. Both can inherit, okay, can be inherited, and the abstract class for another class, the interface from another interface. Okay, abstract from class, interface from interface. Whether to use an interface or a class, متى تحتاج انك تسوي definition الابستراكت كلاس، متى تحتاج انك تسوي definition ل interface. So abstract classes and interfaces can both be used to model common features, to model common behaviors. إذا في أشياء مشابهة تعاملات مشابهة بين ال objects, so you can use these abstract classes or you can use the interface. Now, how do you decide whether to use the abstract or a class? In general, if you need a strong is a relationship, inheritance, okay, that clearly describes a parent-child relationship, so should be modeled using classes. For example, a staff member is a person, okay, an employee is a person, a passenger is a person, okay, so this is okay, it is an inheritance, okay. But when you need to use other thing, a weak is a relationship, also known as is kind of relationship, indicates that an object possesses a certain property, and a weak is a relationship can be modeled using interfaces, okay. You need to evaluate this relationship. إذا مرة قوية يعني محتاجة كل الأشياء اللي جوة السوبر كلاس, so it is a strong relationship, okay. But إذا بس محتاجة من الكلاس بس method ولا بس some يعني characteristics, so it is not very strong. It can be implemented as interfaces. So for example, all strings are comparable, so the string class implements the comparable interface. And you can also use interfaces to circumvent single inheritance restriction if multiple inheritance is desired. Okay, also, if you need to have more inheritance, so you can use one class as a superclass and the other will be implemented as interfaces, okay, to allow you using these interfaces. Now, guidelines for designing a class. In terms of coherence, a class should describe a single entity, and all the class operations should logically fit together to support a coherent purpose. Okay, if you have a class about passenger, so the passenger can book a flight, can cancel a flight, can change a flight, this is يعني the common, okay, and the related behaviors for a passenger. Okay, you can use class for students, for example, but you should not combine students and the staff, for example, okay? Students is different. The task for the students is different from the task for the staff. So you cannot merge them, okay? You cannot make this inheritance, okay? Because the students are and the staff are different entities, okay? So you can use some implement if there is something, okay, that is similar between them, okay, but you cannot use the inheritance, okay. Now, separating responsibilities, also a single entity with too many responsibilities can be broken into several classes, okay. لما يكون عندك أكثر من شيء جوة الكلاس، مرة كل الأشياء جوة الكلاس، زي مثلا students، okay. students عندنا الgraduate students والundergraduate students والبوست جراديويت ستودنتس، في انواع من الستودنتس. طبعا الاشياء اللي راح يحتاجها الجراديويت it is not like the undergraduate. اذا graduated خلاص ما في add courses، ما في delete courses، ما في، بس في اشياء ثانيه ممكن يسويها البوست جراديويتد، اوكي. so this is why you need to separate, you need to make this separation about research. So a single entity with too many responsibilities can be broken into several classes. So the string, for example, the string, we have in the string builder, the string buffer, if you remember. We said that the string, it is unmutable. تتذكروا، وإذا عندي string ما أقدر أسوي لها change، ما أقدر يعني change إنه إيش؟ أشيل string وأجيب string ثانية مكانها، أما أغير حرف جوتها ولا أزيد الطول ولا أنقص، لا ما في، أوكي. But for the string builder and the string buffer, it is a they are mutable, so you can have the size, capacity, you can add, you can delete, you can insert, okay. So this is for okay, so the string class deals with immutable strings, but the string builder, it is for creating mutable strings, okay. And this string buffer class is similar to the string buffer, except the string buffer contains synchronized methods for updating these strings, okay. just يعني very small difference. So the classes are designed for reuse. ليش قلنا نستخدم الكلاسز؟ It is like a factory, okay? زي المصنع راح تسوي لي many objects with the same characteristic. Users can incorporate classes in many different combinations, orders, and environments. Therefore, you should design a class that imposes no restrictions on what or when the user can do with it. And to do this, you need to follow these instructions. So you need to design the properties to ensure that the user can set properties in any order with any combination of values. Okay? إذا كان عندي أنا students عنده name, عنده ID, عنده age, عنده gender, etc. Okay? All this I need to have access for these variables, to access these variables and to change these variables. Okay? So I need to have the getter and the setter. I need to design methods to function independently of their order of occurrence. Okay? بديت add we get values, we get age ولا set age ولا get name ولا set name. It is not a matter. Okay? Override. Also, you need to provide the public no argument constructor. Okay? It is mandatory. Override the equals methods and the toString method defined in the object, okay, class whenever it is possible. We said you need to print, you need to show the data, so you need to use the toString, and the toString, it is not informative in the object class, so you need to override. Follow standard Java programming style and naming conventions. زي ما قلنا الكلاس it will start with capital. If you have multiple words, so all these multiple words should be concatenated. Just the beginning of each word should be in capital. Okay. For the methods, it is in small, all of them. Just if you have more than one word, أكثر من كلمة, so بداية الكلمة أكتبها بالcapital فقط. Okay. Choose informative names for the classes, for the data fields, for the methods. Okay. ما استخدم X, Y, و Z. No, height, width. Okay. كل أعطيها معنى عشان اللي يقرأ بعدين يفهم معنى الفاريبلز ومعنى كمان methods. Always place the data declaration before the constructions. لما أكتب الكلاس أبدأ بالdata fields, constructors, getter and setters, and after that the other methods. Okay, and place constructors before methods. Always provide the constructor and initialize variables to avoid programming errors. Now, visibility modifiers, how you can use. We said that the attributes should be private. Okay, كل attributes should be private. And if these attributes are private, so you need to setter and getter in order to get access and to change. Okay, make all the methods accessible public if they are intended for the user of the class. Make the fields or the method protected if they are intended for extended of the class. The contract for the extenders encompasses the contract for the users, and the extended classes may increase the visibility. If you remember, inheritance increase the visibility. إذا كان عندك شيء private السب class ممكن تخليه public. بس إذا كان public sub class should be public. ما نقدر نرجع لورا. أوكي؟ بس نقدر نقوي في المodifiers, not weaken the modifiers. But should never change the implementation in a way that violates this contract. Okay, either public, it should be public for all these subclasses. Okay, but if it is private, it can be public as a subclass. A class should use a private modifier to hide its data from the direct access by clients. So you can use the get and the set methods to provide the users with access to the private data. A class should also hide these methods not intended for the client use. So in this case, the method is declared as a private and only used by another method inside the class. And that is known as helper method. Okay? إذا في method استخدم method ثانية بس هي اللي راح تستخدمها. So you don't need to make it public. It is private. It is just used inside the class. Okay? and it is called helper method. يعني method مساعدة الميثود الثانية اللي هي public. Okay. Now when you can use the static modifier, a property that is shared by all the instances of the class should be declared as a static property. Okay. The number of created objects, for example, you need to count the number of objects. So this information will be shared by all the objects. Once a new object is created, this will be increased by 1. Okay, automatically for all the objects. Okay, so this is all about meeting 6. Thank you very much for your attendance for this meeting. Any question, guys? Any question about interfaces, abstract classes, the difference between them?